Hello, everyone. We're so excited. I was smiling because I saw the hello with the exclamation point. We're excited. And so are we. Leah and I are so excited to be here. Welcome, Leah.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us and letting us get to know you a little bit better before this amazing event, which is so exciting, this collaboration that we have together. And make sure if you haven't signed up yet, registration is closing this week. We only opened it extra special for the interviews. So you got to make sure to get on over there and take a peek. So Leah, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Leah Lawson. I am the marketing director for Pink Fresh Studio. I've been working with them for quite a while now, so you've probably seen my face around if you frequent anything from Pink Fresh Studio at all. Fun fact, I'm a professional photographer. I photographed weddings for almost 11 years before moving on.
Oh, wow.
So that's a huge part of my job at Pink Fresh. And so that's kind of me in a nutshell. I'm married to my husband, Josh. We've been married for, of course, now I'm going to forget because I'm on the spot. We got married in 2002. So 21 years. There we go. 22 years.
Wow.
And then
Congratulations
I
on
have
that.
a 19-year-old Cocker Spaniel named Sadie. Hi, Lisa.
Oh,
Oh, thank
yeah,
you.
Lisa said she got to meet you at the Create, and you are so nice. So that's yay. It's always fun when you get to see somebody you've met before and you get to see them again, even through this computer screen. It's very, very exciting.
I agree.
So, what about this class do you feel is a can't be missed experience for our crafters?
Um, I think just getting really good ideas for using all of the different or products, excuse me, that are in the kit. I think because you've got two instructors from the Pink First Studio side and two instructors from the Altenew side, there's going to be like a really, sorry, there's a fly buzzing. Ugh. There's going to be a really lovely mix of styles. Um, and I think the other part about the kit that people are going to be really excited about is that the products are just really, really beautiful all around.
And there's some shiny stuff in there too, because we know that our crafters love shiny. So
There's
there is some
definitely some shiny
shininess in
stuff in
there as
there.
well.
We made
No,
sure to make it shine.
we have to, I think that's a requirement for any event. You have to have something
I think
that's
so.
shiny. So when you open the box and you see the beautiful supplies, do you kind of see a technique that you're going to go with first, or do you see more like a layout coming together?
I think I am probably more inspired by the product itself and kind of thinking of how I'm going to place it on my project. I'm not the most technique oriented crafter, so I'm definitely a little bit more product inspired in general. So I think that that's probably when I look at anything, I look at the product and then just the layout of that design is where my brain starts to think about, well, where do I want to put that, and how do I want to embellish it and make it pretty.
Do you have like a technique that I know you said you're not kind of technique focused, but do you have one that you love to go to that's your favorite?
Oh, I have two: foiling, hot foiling, of course, and ink blending. I don't think those either of those things ever fail me, and it's especially great when you do them together.
We have some of these questions we've kind of told our crafters. Like we've had like, what's one favorite supply? And then it went to three, and then we started doing categories. So we've kind of stretched it because those are the hardest questions when you're like, what's your one favorite? I don't think you can do it with all these beautiful
Mm-mm.
supplies, the amazing techniques. It's
Yeah, I saw
impossible.
that one question on there. I'm like, I feel like it's asking a parent to pick their favorite child if they have more than one.
We gave you a few trick questions in there. Like we really did. We really, really did. So how do you keep your crafty mojo? Because you craft a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
lives and releases. And how do you keep the crafty mojo going?
Um, I think you have to give yourself grace. So if you are not inspired or if you're not feeling it, maybe just sit down and move on to something, do something else for the day or a few hours and then come back to it. Also, if I am struggling to put something like actually complete a project, especially when it comes to release time. If like I am just not feeling creating like a complete project, I'll stamp everything out or heat emboss it or foil it and kind of prep and get things prepped for a time that maybe I'm feeling a little bit more inspired, or I found a good color palette that I think is going to be really pretty on the product. Um, so I may not make a complete project, but doing some of the prep work always kind of helps get that crafty mojo back if you lose it.
Because you kind of see it too. You kind of see different things, especially if you're, like you said, you're stuck on something where it's just, you can't just figure it out yet. When you see other things, sometimes your brain is still working on that in the background and you figure out other things that you
Yeah,
may have just set aside as well. And you get those wheels start turning because you see all the beautiful things and colors and all of
absolutely.
that. Now, where do you find inspiration?
Whew. Um, that's a good question. I think that I find most inspiration just from the product itself. I think finding different ways to use it, whether it's a floral or a geometric pattern or anything like that. I also love colors and I love to find interesting color combos. I mean, I have my tried and true colors that I use all of the time. But I also love to try to find maybe more unusual color combos that still complement and look lovely together. They won't create a icky color if they accidentally mix, but so I definitely feel like I find a lot of inspiration just by reaching for our ink pads and finding things that I feel like would go together really well.
Now, do you reach for the teal? We talked about this the other day with Heather, the teals. The teals can't leave our hands. Are you the same
Never.
team or do you have a
Yeah.
different color?
Oh no, no, no.
The
Aquas are my
teals.
jam, and like greenery. Typically, I would say 85 to 90% of the time, my greenery is in aquas and not green.
Now, Pamela wants to know, she said, how do you pick your colors? That is my nemesis.
Oh, that's a good one, and I do understand that. So, um, one thing that I'm really cognizant of is if we offer basically layering stencils for pretty much everything that we release, and so I am cognizant of when I'm using layering stencils. If I'm going to use multiple colors, if they blend together, I'm making sure they're not going to make a color that we don't love, an icky, muddy color or anything like that. So I try to keep that in my mind. But other than that, just finding colors that really like make you happy. Like I'm a big fan of pinks and corals and oranges. I guess I kind of am. I lend myself to warm tones versus cool tones. I do use them all, but I would say that I lean towards warmer tones for sure. But other ways of picking colors, if you find that you struggle, I know that our inks, and I think the Altenew inks do as well, are kind of in families. So you
Yes.
can, it's really easy to pick and you can layer them together. And it's really, the work is kind of done for you and it's pretty seamless. So if you ever struggle to pick colors, grab that color family and just use it, because we have done all the work to make sure that they do layer together seamlessly. And then you can just have fun crafting and taking the guesswork out of it.
And that's sometimes I just close my eyes and reach for a color where my inks are. And I'm like, okay, that's what we're going to go with today. And then build around from there. Cause sometimes it's overwhelming. There are so many beautiful colors. So just
There is,
start with
I did
one.
that the other day. I was creating something and I'm like, you know what? You never use persimmon. So I grabbed persimmon and I'm like, you're using it no matter what. And it's our darkest shade of orange. Definitely, I am a pastel light girl. But I'm like, you're using persimmon because you never reach for it. So I put it on my desk and then I grabbed Coral Reef and I grabbed Mermaid Cove and it made this lovely set of kind of autumn inspired florals that. So that's also a really good tip.
Persimmon is one of my other of your favorite colors, that persimmon
Nice.
color. Oh, oranges and teals together just warm my heart. So
They're warm and they scream fall, and I, like, fall is my favorite time of year. Yeah.
yes. All the colors around. Well, I live in Maine, so we have a lot of colors. We're known for our leaves, so we have lots of different colors around us in fall. So that's why I love fall too. Not what's coming behind it, but I like the fall.
No, I like all of it. I love that first snow. So, I get sick of snow about March, April, I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I've got the point. I got
Like, I'm
it.
done.
I'm done.
Now, do you like to use realistic color combos or do you go wild and use more
I would
outside
say
the
that's a
box?
probably I go back and forth. Well, greenery is almost never realistic because I typically am reaching for like those aquas
Yeah.
and teals in my greeneries. Occasionally I'll do like a nice standard green. But so and then a lot of times I like multicolor flowers and you don't see that often in nature. So I like to do that. Sometimes they're realistic, but then sometimes I think it's really fun to go off the wall
Yeah.
and pick something like blue flowers with pink leaves. I think stuff like that's fun. So I think I do it all.
And Christine said, I never used oranges and corals until watching Leah's videos. So,
Oh,
oh, that's awesome. That's
that
so
is awesome.
exciting.
I love that. It's hard to think of fall when you live in Florida. Fair,
Yeah,
fair point.
that's that's a true one. Okay, so one of the tough questions. Here we go. The pressure cooker for Leah. We're gonna go with three. What are
Okay.
three of your favorite supplies slash tools? But we've kind of put supplies tools categories because everybody's like, I can't pick three items. What about like inks? And what about that? So
I
yeah, so we'll do
know.
three.
Okay. Okay. So I can't do anything without stamping tools, whether it's press, press tool, platform. I am a terrible stamper with clear blocks. Terrible. So I can't live without some sort of tool to actually help me stamp. I just have to have it. Um, Die cutting machine, of course, has to be electronic. Um, and then, oh, this is hard. Is inks one of them, or are
It's
we
a
going with just
category.
tools?
Yeah, inks. We can do inks. I can't remember who also threw in stencils with inks.
Yeah,
One of
because
the
with
interviews.
inks, and I also have to throw in blending brushes. Sorry, but I can't use my inks without blending brushes and stencils. It just doesn't work.
They're just best friends, so they have to
They
be on this
are.
one. They have to.
They're like tool adjacent.
And I'm so glad you said that about the stamping platform because I think there would be a lot of people that are beautiful artists that would not be if they didn't have the platforms.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I
I'm
remember
one of
those.
them. I
I
started paper crafting before any
Yep,
type of stamping platform was out there, and I was terrible at it, and I didn't like really love doing it.
yep,
So once those started coming out, card making completely changed. Um,
absolutely.
so
I used to love that little stamp-a-majig back in the day because you got a couple goes at it with the hand stamp. You could line it, even though still sometimes I was a little off, and it just. But yeah, the platforms
yeah,
total. It makes it fun,
yeah.
it really does.
And it kind of
Lisa
opened up a whole world of like stamping, and you can restamp if you want to. And I know for us, we show this technique a lot because I think once you stamp and you ink blend over top of that stamped image, you lose kind of the crispness
Yeah,
of your image. And so it's so nice that you can stamp it, have a guideline for your stencils, do all of the ink blending, throw it back in and stamp it again. And you have that beautiful, crisp
yeah,
stamp impression again over top of your ink blending,
because that crisp just pops your ink blend. It makes your ink blending look 10 times better. It's the
right?
same
It
thing,
totally does.
but that crisp line against that beautiful blending, night and day, night
I
and
agree.
day. Lisa said she's getting her stamp wheel and she's so excited to get that for stamping. That's so
Nice.
exciting. Connie said Connie said she's loving the blending brushes too. Yes, Connie. I don't know how we lived without them.
How
I
did we
don't
live
know.
without blending brushes?
I don't know. Yes. Oh, and we got a hello from Vancouver. Hello.
Hi.
And oh, Lisa said she has so many for her ink collection, so she agrees. And Christine needs the stamping platform too. I think there are a lot of us. I still try to hand stamp once in a while because I'm like, I don't want to lose that. And I'm afraid because I love my stamp wheel and I use it all the time. I'm like, I want to
Give it up.
keep
Give it
it.
up. I use the stamping thing to stamp every little thing, even if it's this big.
I do reach for the blocks for those. I do. I try. I try. Yeah, Connie, I agree. Daubers are great tools, but it's a kind of the night and day thing we were just
I
kind of
think they're for
talking
different
about.
things. I do. I think they have their place, but I think they're definitely for doing something different. And so when you're wanting that beautiful smooth blend, I mean, just blending brushes are definitely the way to go.
So what would you say is your, like, if somebody said, "What kind of cards does Leah make?" What do you think are your type of cards that you make?
I would say that in general, my cards are pretty feminine in terms of color palette and probably pretty a little whimsical. I think would be probably the best way to describe my cards, and for the most part, really floral.
Yeah. And absolutely stunning. You forgot the absolutely stunning.
Oh, thank you.
You
That's
left
kind
off
of
the
you.
absolutely
I am
stunning
not
there.
going to say that.
So if we have some folks sitting out there and they're like, okay, so we have two different scenarios. We have one that is like, I just bought some stamping stuff. I've only been stamping for 2 months. And then we have another crafter that's been saying, I've been doing this for 30 years. What would you tell them that they could expect to get from this collaboration class?
I think that both, whether you are experienced or not experienced in card making, I think that you are going to take away a lot of really great ways to use all of the different products that you'll find in the kit. Um, I think that uh, it's possible you may be introduced to products that you haven't seen before. That's probably more for the less experienced crafter. But I think in general, I haven't seen the Altenew projects yet, but I have seen the Pink Fresh Studio side of the projects because one, I made one of them. But um, I think that what you will see, and you'll get to find a I lost my train of thought what I was saying here. I think that you will get to find a really lovely way to mix products in a way that's not overwhelming.
And I think it's a great too. It's great to see the four of you with the same supplies in front of you,
Yeah,
essentially. I mean, you
absolutely.
bring in inks, they're a little different colors, but
Oh yeah, of
beyond that,
course.
it's that same kit. And to see how far you guys go with it. So there is, and I've seen the projects, and I've seen some of the Alts new ones that Leah hasn't seen yet. And there are techniques for beginners and there are techniques for
Yeah,
advanced. And these, you own them forever. They're yours. So even if you're a beginner crafter during this, the first time you go through, you can watch it later and maybe you'll get something different out of it. I know just moderating at these events, I always learn something. Like, and I've been doing this for 30 years. I started in scrapbooking, but I always learned a tip or a different way to put something through a machine, or there's a little tidbit that just is like, oh my gosh, that's genius,
yeah, and it may not even be related to your card. It may just be related to crafting in general.
Yeah.
I know that Heather and I hear a lot that, we share everything. Like if we find little tips on a better way to use a die cut machine, or we always share it. So as we go through class, we may be like, if you have an intricate die, try this. And so we're always, we always share what knowledge that we have procured over our time in card making. And so I think that in class, as you go through all of the different classes, that you'll also see that it may not exactly pertain to that card, but it may pertain to just in general the broadness of ink blending or die cutting, stamping, all of those things.
And two, we learn so much from you guys going through. There may be instructors that are leading a class, but you guys will give us a tip and we're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Like we didn't know that either.
For
So
sure.
it's a wonderful kind of group that we share ideas back and forth. So there's a lot of inspiration beyond the class that is going on at the time.
I agree.
And Connie says she always learns tips from taking Pink Fresh
Oh,
classes. Yay.
thank you,
Oh,
Connie.
and Gail is looking forward to the event. Yes, we can put a link. I think it's
I
Angel
saw one
behind the badge
earlier, but
today. Can
I'm
you
sure someone will link it again
post a link
shortly.
in there? Yes, Angel's behind the badge today. So if you could pop that in there. Leah always inspires me with her ability to cut up images and rearrange them in ways to fill the designs. That is the skill.
We call it
Muting
floral
paper
surgery.
screens and be able to move them around there.
Whenever we're in a live or a class, and if I just hack into a flower, you always get these, no,
Like,
oh,
"Ooh."
yes.
It's those paper screams that get you. Now,
I've been known to just totally grab some scissors and just chomp a flower in half, and then you hear all of the gasping in the comments, like, oh no,
"Ah!"
that's scary.
That might happen during this class. You never know.
You never know.
You got to tune in to find out what's going to happen and if the
Exactly.
paper will truly scream during the event.
I always say it's just paper, and if you mess up, you
Yes.
can always just redo it.
And the thing is, doing that, you may come up with a project that is your favorite project you've ever created. It just taking
Absolutely.
that chance because you can always restamp it.
There we go. There's a link
Yes,
to the event
yes.
right there. And I
So,
think if you're willing to just I hate to say this word, if you're willing to just kind of hack into things,
yeah.
you find other ways to use it. So it's just not in, you're not having to use it just in that one way. Maybe you have this big, beautiful cluster, but just think about the possibilities it has if you trim it down into a few pieces and can fit it in other ways than just being this one big cluster in the middle of your card. So I just feel like it stretches the use of your supply. So you're getting even more uses out of it.
And I think too, yeah, it really extends the life of your supplies,
Yeah.
and it can give it so you could make 5 cards, and if you keep doing that, you're getting such different looks on each card with one
Yep.
set. I mean, how versatile is that?
I agree.
Lisa, I believe tomorrow is the last day for sign up. You'll still get your kit in time. We're just
Mhm.
closing registration. That's all. You'll still get your kit. Kits will start shipping in the beginning to mid of October.
Yep.
So you will get your kit in time. It's just registration is closing for the event. So let me see. For new crafters, it makes more approachable and less daunting. And for more experience, it's inspiring and informative and encourages different uses and techniques you might not have done. So that's exciting. Mary Lou, yes, we might have a sneak peek on the Alt's new website. We extended it so because we had the interviews going on. So head on over and you may see something. And if you're looking at your screen right now, you may be seeing something sneak peek of sorts, so to speak. So
I didn't really think about that.
if you can see right below Leah and I, that may be a sneak peek, kind of. So, one last question. Is there anything like a fun or interesting fact that you want to share that we may not know?
I feel like I share these a lot in different areas as time goes on. But I'll share one here that maybe also new friends are not aware of, and even maybe, Pink Fresh friends too. So I was a cheerleader from the age of 8 to the age of 20.
Well, I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that. You're just so positive. I can just see it. What was your favorite thing in cheering?
Oh, stunting for sure. I loved, especially once I got to college and we were co-ed and we were doing partner stunting. Oh, so much fun.
I
Love
was
that.
always the center. I always built the pyramid off
Yeah.
me.
I
So
was typically so in college we partner stunted, so I kind of flew everywhere with my partner, but on my squad I was one of the ones that could do what's called toss to shoulders. It's a blind stunt, so it's actually really hard to do even though you're only tossing to your partner's shoulders. So a lot of times I was the middle of the pyramid because I could do that one stunt easily.
that
Random.
is very see, so you guys may not that's a very I love that. That's a fun fact. That is fun.
Thank
I
you.
accidentally almost always start there are certain things people will say and it reminds me of a cheer and I'm like I have to stop. Like I'm like no, don't go there. They stay with you though. They rhyme,
They
they
do.
stay
Oh
with
yeah.
you. So
I still
thank
go back and I do alumni events at the college I attended. So
oh, that's so fun. Do you guys ever cheer again? Have you
yeah,
guys
so
done
we
that?
typically when we have an alumni event, a Spirit Squad alumni event, we typically perform a halftime routine with the current Spirit Squad.
That is
So
amazing.
unfortunately, I am missing this year's because of the cost of flights.
Yeah.
It's just silly, but hopefully I'll be able to make it to the next one.
That is
But yeah,
phenomenal. I
it's
love
really
that
fun.
they do that. My university just No, they don't do
Okay.
anything fun like that. Yeah, once you're graduated, no. So, but that is
Once you
so
graduate, you're done.
cool.
You're
Yeah,
out.
you're done. They do send out, looking for donations, but they don't they don't really.
Mine does send that as well.
Thank you so much, Leah, and thank you so much for our amazing crafters for joining us. And I believe Angel behind the badge. I'm sorry if it's Han. I believe it's Angel. Angel behind the badge. Thank you so much. It was so exciting to get to have this little chat with Leah and make sure so you can craft with her on this amazing event. Head on over and check it out. The link is in the chat. We want to see you there. We want to craft with you and have lots and lots of crafty fun. And thank you from all of us at Altmute and Pinkfresh for joining us today. And we will all see you very, very soon. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks for chatting with me.